everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Stacks of Questions. This is our special Christmas episode, and if you're tuned in at home, we hope you're having a lovely festive period. Tonight I have joining me my assessment team compadres. Morag Shaw is leading up the blue team. Hi Morag.
Hello, Kim.
Hi, I love your hat.
Oh,
And
thank you.
Colin
Love your
Lamont.
purple one.
Oh yes, I know. I'm being neutral tonight. And Colin Lamont is heading up the red team. Hello, Colin.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas indeed. And I am Kim Jeans, who obviously you've met before, along with my teammates. So let's get started and have a look at what our challenge is for this episode. So we've decided, since it's Christmas, to go for something a little bit festive. And our challenge this week is called the Great GIF of, or the GIF of Christmas. We have 4 GIFs on the screen for our challengers to use as inspiration, shall we say, and we're going to spin the wheels to see what type of unit and topic they have to try and include in their question tonight. So let's spin the spinners and see what we are aiming for. So we're starting off tonight with National 5, and the unit that we're looking for is Software Design and Development. Any questions, guys?
Nope. Go with that.
Nope, that sounds okay. Well,
Awesome. So go back and have a little look at those GIFs and see if you can come up with some ideas. And I'm going to come over and chat to our guest speaker tonight. So joining us tonight, we have the wonderful Maggie Tui. She is a teacher of computing science based in Douglas Academy. Hello, Maggie. How are you?
I'm great, Kim. Nice to see you. How are you?
I know, I'm good, thank you. Good. It's been a long time since I've seen you.
I know. Santa hats for tonight.
I know, Santa hats indeed. Thank you for being festive with us.
I hope I don't overheat.
I know, and see, it's red. I've noticed, red team. So we'll have to see whether or not your alliance is set later on. So we are looking tonight at kind of assignment, building resilience, all that kind of problem solving part of the course. I wanted to really speak to you because you've been teaching for quite a while now, and you've obviously, you know, been through maybe like the different increments, some of the different increments of computing science, and the last one in particular has been really kind of problem solving based. So I kind of wanted to start off with talking about how do you really kind of prepare your pupils for like the problem solving aspects of the course questions, the assignment. That's quite a big question, but is there anything particular?
Question, but it's quite a big answer as well, I think. We, a few years ago, were looking, because the course had changed, you know, the new N5, although we say, what was it, 8 years ago now, 9 years ago, and we really looked at our first and second and even into third year courses. And although they were okay at the time, we felt what we wanted to do for the pupils was introduce them to N5 material, but earlier on, but do it in a kind of fun way. Because see, if we think of other subjects, if you look at maths, for example, the number of times that pupils revisit a topic all through primary school, you know, into first, second year, there'll be topics that they'll revisit in different ways. And in computing science, that doesn't often happen because of perhaps the lack of time in primaries, or maybe not any kind of first or second year course at all. So we wanted to introduce that. We only have them 1 period a week, first and second year, which I know is better than some schools. Yeah. So what we looked at was introducing, we did do coding, but it was trying to introduce it in a kind of more fun way. We introduced a systems unit that covered binary, data representation, security, computer structure. So all the kind of headings that were in N5, we put into our S1 and S2 course. We did SQL. We do SQL with one table, you know, so that by the time the pupils come to N5, it's not new to them. It's not brand new to them. They've seen it before and they've kind of got a history of it. So introducing, I feel that the N5 topics earlier, although in a kind of different way. And I think in the SQL, we do a kind of gemstone investigation, you know, so they're finding a crook that's done a crime, that kind of thing. So it's
we do something similar.
But they're having to write the SQL for one table. So they're introduced to it at that stage. So, and also in terms of our coding or programming side of it, we look at writing algorithms that are kind of for everyday tasks. So for example, first year, they look at an example where so Mrs. Tui wants to go to the cinema. How are you going to help her do that? And they have to almost kind of storyboard that. What are the steps that I would have to take if I wanted to go to the cinema? And they come up with all different, stories to actually get me to the cinema. Am I going to take the train? Am I going to take the car? That kind of thing. So we do quite a few examples of that where we give them a big problem, quite a loose problem like that. I think we've got another one where one of the teachers in the department wants to do online shopping. How she going to do it? When they have to then come up with a kind of storyboard or an algorithm. So we're not really calling it pseudocode or anything like that in first and second year. We're just talking about storyboards.
Yeah.
We also do an animation unit, and although that's not linked into N5, they do storyboards in there. So again, we've got some experience of storyboards. They know what they're trying to do. So it's just a different way. But
you're actually sequence and things.
Yes, exactly. So
absolutely.
That's kind of what we do in first and second year, and we have felt that has really helped and improved the understanding into third and into fourth year.
And they're seeing those challenges, so therefore it's building the resilience as well, isn't it? And making them kind of be ready for that. And so then what tools do you feel like you have? So when it comes to like when they get to National 5 and they're going to be, working on things like assignments, what tools do you sort of feel are really good for the kids to have when they're then doing like open book assessments, for example?
Well, again, in second year in particular, they use Scratch with games design, creating a game, and they get to create their own game at the end, but they've got to base it on one they've already created with the kind of teaching materials. So they're allowed to use their workbook and their practical booklet to look at that and to look at the codes to do that. They also do web in second year, and it's the same idea. Once they've finished the unit, they get to pick a topic and create their own website, but they've got to base it on the notes that they have. So it's that idea of trying to get them to use their notes when they've got a task to do.
And by embedding that, I suppose, in the BGE, you're helping the kids build that skills up, so that you should hope that by the time they get to National 5 and higher and advanced higher, they're then au fait kind of with the skills of being able to dip into their own stuff.
Exactly. I mean, it's not perfect, and we do review and reflect on it every year, kind of in study leave, like what went well this year, what do we need to improve on, what could we introduce. So that's a big part of it as well. And it's over the years of editing our materials that we've got to a stage where we think we're in a good place at the moment, but it never stops.
Yeah, I don't think we've had the same BGE ever since the National 5's come out.
Exactly. It's constantly changing, and that's the nature of a course and the nature of the subject.
Yeah.
Because the kids have got an idea of what computing science is based on their own personal experience, and we have to go with some of that as well and keep it up to date. Yeah,
and they're coming up with different skills and different levels of resilience as well that perhaps we've been dealing with before, so that's good.
One other thing we do with the kind of problem solving aspects that I was thinking of was, taking it maybe into higher. And I remember one pupil saying to me, I just don't know how to answer these big scary white boxes, when they get to the higher algorithm type.
Yeah.
What we do is we tend to teach the generic standard algorithms, finding max, finding min, count occurrence, linear search. But we have a wee acronym. I think I've heard of one before called SLIDE that people use, but we use one called ILIA. So it's initialization, loop, if statement, assignment. Okay, so those are the terms that we say that's the kind of steps you have to take to help you remember the sequence of what it's going to be like. And we've found that has helped pupils, even if they write an initialization in a loop, they'll get some credit for that rather than nothing at all. I think this helps address pupils that maybe aren't going to get all the A-mark questions, but actually try and attempt the problem-solving algorithms in higher and in N5. I think higher lends itself a wee better to that kind of acronym, and we've certainly had good feedback from pupils on that they found that's really helped them structure and answer a bit better. So it's
and do you feel like a lot of them will take that into their assignments and stuff as well?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so then on the subject of assignments, how do you help the kids? Well, you've talked a lot about the skills that you build over the BGE course, and then the kids are then used to coming back. But do you give them any, you know, like help them prepare in any way for the assignment, maybe with regards to, I don't know, like how they set up where the resources are, their folders or anything like that, or
Yes,
when they're preparing for their assignment?
There's a class team where all the resources are on a Microsoft team, but they also have paper copies, and each pupil has a ring binder, and they've got all their notes within that. So they'll have their set of practical tasks, they'll have their, we call it a kind of summary notes, which is all their kind of theory-based notes. But preparing for the assignment, I've always felt, is something that's inbuilt throughout the year. It's not something you do a week before the assignment.
Yeah.
And the way now that we're at the stage, how many years we've had of N5 and higher in this kind of format, previous assignments are key to helping them do an assignment. And we build them in not only to our practical notes, but also to our theory notes. We use them as starters and plenaries, particularly with like analysis. So when we're teaching analysis, their starter question, say it was higher. So we give them an N5 assignment analysis question for their starter before they were going to be taught the analysis at higher. So just kind of reminding, this is the idea of analysis. So we'll just kind of snip that out of an assignment and put that on a start.
It's not this unseen style or question style they've never seen before. They've seen it dotted all throughout the year. That's really clever.
Yes, absolutely. And then a plenary, once they've been taught analysis at higher, we'll use an old assignments analysis. And that will go into their notes, and it'll go into our sort of PowerPoint slides, if you like, and they'll have to attempt it at that stage. So they've got all this material throughout their course notes, as well as within their practical work. So they get a booklet. They get a booklet of previous assignments. They get a booklet of. We just print them out, all the assignments, and they get that. They get a database one. We split it up. So when we're doing the database unit, they get a database booklet of previous assignments. And if they get through their initial sort of practical task to teach them the course subject, then they go off and do as many assignments as they can get done in the time they have. Yeah. Now, the other thing that we have done, and it was particularly for N5, we're finding that kids were struggling a bit with assignment when it came to looking at the design, when it was a complete assignment, and some of them, particularly if it was a flowchart or a diagram, just not sure what was happening. So what we've done in the practical booklet, say for example, we've taught them print input, I'm talking about Python here, sorry, print input and maybe calculations, those kind of 3 easy things. Then what I've done is taken part of an assignment, tend to use the coffee, tea and biscuit one. I don't know if you remember that one. And I give them the design for that. So they get so far in the practical booklet, and then it'll say stop and do assessment 1. And assessment 1 is part of an assignment that's what they've covered so far. Like it will include a print and an input and a calculation. And they'll do that. So it's a very small part of an assignment. And then I'll mark that on the front of the book if they've got that complete. Then they'll go on and they'll maybe learn about an if statement or a loop. And then it will say stop and do the next assessment. And the next assessment will be a design. It might this time be a flow chart, but it might build on what they had done in the previous assessment. So every in the practical booklet, they've got a stop and a check-in to see if, okay, you've learned the commands now. If I give you a design, can you use those commands to design that? But we build it up gradually till they get to the end of when they've learned about arrays, and then they've got a complete assignment to try, an implementation to try. So we found that's really helped some pupils to kind of build on their knowledge and find that when they get to a design that they can actually, manage to do it.
That's really good. And actually, the last question was going to be, Maggie, if someone was looking for like a kind of a top tip or something to help their kids, if their kids are not doing as well or underperforming the assignment prepared for the assessment, you've probably given me a few already. Is there one that's your favourite, or what's your kind of golden, this is the one thing that I felt's made the biggest impact?
Well, certainly for N5, I think that's made the biggest impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's breaking that a full, because if they just do lots of practical wee tasks and then they come and they do a big assignment where it's quite a lot of design even in N5. we found that some pupils were struggling with that, so we've then broken it down, and I think that's really helped.
And the same for higher?
I'm happy to put that booklet, the kind of assessment booklet with bits of design. I can put that up on the STACS drive.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing.
Because it really is worth it, and it just says assessment 1, and it includes print input and maybe a calculation, and then assessment 2 would maybe be if statements, but it will also include print input and calculations.
Yeah.
So gradually it's building up.
If it's designs, it would be matched to any programming language as well, wouldn't it?
Yes, it is designs. It's not, it's not got Python in it, so I can put that in the drive, and people could have a look at that and see if it works for them, because you could decide when they wanted to do that. So that has helped. Certainly the starters and the plenaries using the old assignments. I think that's really key. To let them see what an assignment's going to be. I always feel
just peppering it through all the year, basically taking assignment stuff and peppering it all the way through.
All the way through the year, through the year, so that when they hit the assignment, they're not seeing something like this for the first time, that they're quite, they've seen these sort of questions before, they've seen this type of coding before. And certainly I think higher pupils, given that they've been through it once, I think that it doesn't seem ever as difficult with higher pupils, but it's building to kind of this like resilience that you see for N5 pupils, I think has really helped.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for coming to speak to us.
That was useful.
Let's go across and see what Colin and Morag are getting on to. Right, so for a wee change, we're going to start off with you this week, Colin. So the red team, tell us what GIF you've went for and what you've got.
So I went for the GIF of somebody attempting to sledge down a hill, and I took that in the direction of the International Sledging World Cup, which takes place every year, of course. A program's needed to process the results of the 20 competitors. Each competitor gets a score out of 100 based on distance, style, and technique. Don't ask me what the difference between style and technique is. I've just made those criteria up. So part A, state the data structure that would be needed to store the results of the 20 sliders. I went sliders. I'm not sure if that's the technical term for somebody who sledges, but it seemed to fit. And then part B, what's the most appropriate data type for this data structure? Then part C, all scores must be validated to ensure they're between 0 and 100 using a recognised design technique, design an algorithm for this part of the programme, even though I've spelled design incorrectly there. I spelled it right once and then changed my mind. And then part D, each year the quality of the competition improves and the judges would like to know the total score of all the competitors. Using a programming language of your choice, write the code needed to calculate the total score of all 20 competitors. Your answer should make use of the data structure from part A. Part E, the completed program should be tested. Describe how the World Cup officials could test the program to make sure it produces the correct results. And then F, the World Cup officials would like to make sure that the program is readable. Describe 2 ways to make the completed code readable. Now that was a 1 mark question because I thought 2 marks was quite generous for 2 ways, but then it gave a total of 11 and I wasn't happy. So I had to find another mark. So I made it 2 ways of being readable to make a nice round number.
Nice. And it's describe as well, obviously, which is the new one we need to make sure we include. That's very good, and a nice array actually of the different skills.
Oh, I see what you did there. Question number 1. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, nice array of the different skills. Very good. Okay, let's head over to Morag and see what you've been up to. Right, Morag. Oh, wait a minute.
Hello there. I have gone for Santa delivering gifts.
Nice.
You get that one? Yes. I've gone for that little GIF, and I've got Santa. So software development. Santa used the program to help him with his deliveries at Christmas. The program should enter the name and behaviour, naughty or nice, of 24 children. The program should validate the behaviour and, if it had gone on further, count and display the number of nice children. So part A, provide 1 example of each of the following types of test data that we use with the program: normal data, extreme data. Part B, state the type of data structure that we use to store the name of each pupil. Part C, and I then started to code because I had time to start coding. I didn't get time to finish coding. The section of code below is used to enter and validate the behaviour of each child. So I've got the I've gone for a Boolean, declare valid, initially false. A fixed loop, send, is the child naughty or nice, to display, receive the behavior from keyboard. And then I started to do a repeat loop because I know that they're not used as often. So I decided to go for that with a comment line, decide whether valid behavior has been entered. And I had planned to put an error in the follow-up by setting valid to false was going to be my error. So the question I've asked at the moment is write the line of code using a language with which you're familiar to complete the line used to decide whether behavior entered is valid. I think that's what I was trying to do. And I've awarded that 2 marks.
You tried to write SQRL at all.
Yes, I know. That's because I was now getting harassed. And the follow-up question would be explain the error at, and I didn't get a chance to put my line numbers in, so it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It would have been line 7. Explain the error at line 7, which would have been valid. It needs to be set to. Yeah, it would have been to do with the validation. And it was going to be the setting of the Boolean value, but I never got that far down. So at the moment, I've got 6 marks.
Very good, very good. And I like how you've went for something absolutely completely different to each other. So that's nice. Okay. Okay, Maggie, over to you. What do you think about this week's contributions?
Oh, both very good questions to write in such a short space of time, and both quite tricky. Colin's one very good, 2 standard algorithms in the one question, which quite tricky.
Lots of those big white boxes.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, big white boxes there, and I like the naughty or nice as well one. But this week I am going to go for Colin's red question.
Colin's red question. So she is in alliance with that red hat.
Yes.
Yes.
Go Team Red. Yes.
Let's head over to the scores and the doors then and see where we're sitting at the end of the year. So with that, the red team are flying ahead with 3 points, and the blue team, the lovely snowflakes this week, I've got 1 point. So lots to claw back in the year 2026, Mrs. Shaw.
I can only try.
Whoever's going to be the blue team next team, we don't know. We don't know. And with that, guys, that concludes our episode 4. Thank you so much for everyone who joined us. A special thanks to Maggie for joining us this session. And I hope everyone has a fantastic festive period. See you later. Do you want to say bye, guys?
Bye. Happy Christmas.
Bye, everyone. Have a good
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Bye.